By the names of Octavio Cazeneza. I'm going to share with you how US political system works. So basically in this video, I will share with you how Americans know about how the government works, because referring to the street interview that I had with some American people, as well as how I think or how I can collect some of the things that they don't know about how the US government works. So starting from the three branches of the government, I will also talk about what does each branch do, and the third party, as well as the basic process by which a bill becomes a law. So starting from the three branches of the government, we can hear from the people that are interviewed on the street.
Hello. My name is Dr. Kazeneza. So I'm student at Southern Yorkshire University, so-called Promeka program. So there are some questions that I want to ask you regarding to the government of the United States, especially the branches of the government. So would you like to give me some information about that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. The first question is, what are the three branches of the government? The branches that you know. Or what are the three branches of the government?
If I'm not wrong, I can say that I remember two, judiciary and executive.
Okay, thank you so much. Number two, what about you?
Me, I know legislative, judicial, and executive branch.
So based on what those people have said, so the three branches of the government, of the US government, are executive branch, legislative branch, as well as the judiciary branch. So the executive branch also is made by the president, the vice president, and other officials, such as the members of the cabinet. The cabinet is made up of the heads of the 15 major departments of the government. The cabinet gives advice to the president about the important matters. The president approves and carries out laws passed by legislative branch. President also appoints or removes cabinet members and officials. The second branch is legislative branch. The legislative branch is also called the Congress, and it is made up of two houses. The first one is the Senate, and the second one is the House of Representatives. So senators are elected by the states and serve 6 year terms. There are 100 senates, so that means two senates from each state, and the vice president of the US is considered as the head of the Senate, but he does not be elected in the Senate. So the Senate also approves the nomination made by the president to the cabinet, Supreme Court, and federal court, as well as other posts. So there are also 445 houses representative, but the numbers of those house representatives depends on the population of each state. So representatives are elected by their state and serve 2 year terms. So the Speaker of the House elected by representatives is considered as the head of the House representatives. So back to the third branch, it is the judicial branch. So the judicial party of our federal or the US government include the Supreme Court as well as 9 justices. So there are special judges who interpret laws according to the Constitution. The Supreme Court is the head of the judicial branch. So back to the role of each branch. So we can also hear from the people I interviewed on the street.
Do you know what each branch can do, or what each branch does? For you, do you know anything about it?
I only know those branches. I don't know what they are function they are.
For me, I know that executive branch executes laws legislative branch create laws, and then judicial branch is more of Supreme Court that uses judges. Yeah.
Okay. Based on what those people came to say, as well as what I know about the role of each committee or each branch. So starting from the executive branches, so this one is responsible for enforcing laws. So that means its powers is invested in the president. And the president acts as both the head of state and the commander-in-chief of the armed force. So for the legislative branch, this one makes the laws. But the judicial branch, it is the branch which determines which laws and policies are constitutional or allowable and which are not. So, and all three parties of all three branches operate, or their headquarters are located in Washington. Back to how those branches are connected. So the US government has three branches, as I said. So on the graph, we can put this on the triangle, where on the top we can use the triangle, where on the top we can say that is executive branch, and the two bottom corners can be, the one can be for the judicial branch, another one for legislative branch. So each has its own responsibilities and power, of course. But a system of checks and balances prevent one branch from gaining too much power. So how each branch does its own works. So one way is through the process of creating laws. Congress is responsible for making laws, and a law starts this process as a bill. So a bill, it is like an idea or a discussion that those people are having, but which is not yet confirmed as a law. It becomes a law, but why it is an idea, or when it is still being discussed, it is called a bill. So when the president decided to a veto or a bill, the Congress can vote on it again. So if 2/3 of the Congress vote in favor of the bill, they override the veto. So here the bill becomes a law. The judicial branch can review laws made by the Congress and approved by the president. They are responsible for deciding. So they are responsible for deciding the law that does not agree. So if the law does not agree with the constitution, this one is considered as unconstitutional because it is not related to the US Constitution. So if the Congress still believes that the idea should be a law, they must pass a constitutional amendment. So that means it is like adding an amendment to the Constitution, and this one is a long process. In addition to passing Congress, so 3/4 of the state legislators so must approve the amendment for that law to become so, or to be included in the US Constitution. So back also to how they regulate so each other. This one is done in the process called checks and balances. So by creating three branches of the government, the delegates built a check and balance system into the Constitution. So this system was built so that one branch of the government could not become too powerful compared to other branches. So each branch is restrained by the other two in several ways. For example, the president may vote a law passed by the Congress, but Congress can override the veto with a veto of 2/3 of the both houses. So another example is that Supreme Court may check Congress by declaring a law unconstitutional. That means if they find that the idea or the bill from the legislative branch and also approved by the government is not in the Constitution, so the judicial branch cannot sign or cannot agree that because it is not in the US Constitution. So back to Democrats and Republicans as two major parties. So for this one also, we can hear from the people I interviewed on the street, and they may tell us whether they know other parties which are operating in the US or something that they know about Democrats and Republicans.
Democrats and Republicans are the major parties in the United States, know that. So can you name a third party?
Third party.
Yeah.
I only know those two.
Do you know the third party?
I know that the third party is independent.
Independent.
So, okay, thank you. Back to the history of Democrats and Republicans. So, before 1789, US didn't have two parties system. So, it had only George Washington as a president, and this one had no party. So, starting from the history of Democrats, so Democratic Party was formed in 1792 when supporters of Thomas Jefferson began using the name Republicans to emphasize like anti-autocratic policies. So this was adopted its present name during the presidency of Andrew Jackson in 1840. So in 1840 and 1850, the party was in a conflict over extending slavery to the Western territories. So Southern Democrats insisted on protecting slavery in all the territories, while with many Northern Democrats resisted. So the party split over the slavery issues. This one happened in 1860. Back to the history of Republicans. So in Ripon, so the former members of the Whig Party meet to establish a new party to oppose the spread of slavery into the Western territories. So this means they were against the Democrats. So this Whig Party, which was formed in 1844 to oppose the tyranny of the President Andrew Jackson, had shown itself incapable of coping with the national crisis over slavery. So from that time, the Republicans also realized and started to have many members as possible. And this one, it was like conflicting with the Democrats, because Democrats on one side, so it has many members, but also the Republicans also had many members. Back to the impact of the Third Party in the US politics. First of all, the Third Party, it is called independent. So independent or non-partisan politician of individual politicians who are not affiliated with any political party. There are numerous reasons for finding those people also in United States of America. So that means those are the people who are not having any party or any kind of like political belief, saying that I'm on this side. So for them, it's okay. They don't have any political belief or any political party. So the Third Party face many obstacles in American politics. They are usually not even allowed on ballot for due to lack of popular support and signature to warrant a place under a local laws. So the problem feeds upon itself as the marginality of the third parties means that they are not well known enough to attract national attentions. That I can say. So even if this party is not given a great value in US political parties, so but it had money. It from the time it was like from the time people did not have their specific parties, so this third party had many impact to the US population. So for instance, the third parties usually organize and mobilize around a single issues or position, putting pressure on candidates from major political parties to address those issues. So, for instance, if it's a president from the Republican, if they're in a presidential campaign, those independents, they can put pressure on an issue which is rising in the US, saying that you, president, so you have to solve this so that to be elected. And this is a great impact to the US government, because that pressure also, because the president or maybe the one that are putting pressure on to do something about the issue that the US is facing with. So I can say that for those people, it's okay for things I talk about them. So, but another thing I can say, it is about the role of passing a committee in passing legislation also. So Senate committee monitor ongoing governmental operations. This includes like identifying issues suitable for legislative review, gather and evaluate information, and recommend courses of action to the Senate. So during each 2 year, Congress thousands of bills and resolutions are referred to Senate committees. So to manage the volume and complexity, the Senate divides its works between standing committees, special or select committees, and joint committees. So back to the last part, which is like what are the process of making a bill to become a law. So also we can hear from the people I interviewed on the street.
What is the basic process in which a bill becomes a law? You have any idea? Huh?
A bill is first an idea, which is an idea, and then the Congress hand it to the legislative, and I don't remember, and then they have they discuss about that idea, and then after they confirm it and make it a law.
Any idea about it?
I think I have the same idea like that.
So as I said previously, a bill, it is like an idea that those branches are still discussing but not yet confirmed as a law. So to become a law, this one it takes many processes. It takes more than 14 processes, as I'm going to elaborate more about it. So the first one is that bill is a drafted document, which is the idea, as I said. So members of Congress and the executive branch and even outside the groups can discuss about something that US government should have as a law, but not yet confirmed this is a bill. So the second one is introduce in house. So this includes representative introduce the bill in the house. Only members can introduce the bills. So the third process is like sent to committees. The Speaker of the House send the bill to a committee. The fourth step is like committee action. Most bills die here. So this to mean is that the committee may refuse, may table or amend or vote the bill. So if bill passes, it goes to Rules Committee. So the fifth step is like Rules Committee. For this one, the Rules Committee decides the rules for debate and when the bill will come up for a debate. So the sixth for a process I can say is full action. So how's the debate? The bill, and may add an amendment. If a majority votes in favor of the bill, it goes to the Senate. Introduced in the Senate, this is the seventh step. A senator introduced the bill, which is sent to a committee. So the eighth step is committee actions. Same procedures as in the House. If the committee majority votes for the bill, it goes to the whole Senate. But if not, that means also it doesn't go there. So the eighth process is bill called up. This means that the majority floor reader decide when the whole Senate will consider the bill. So the tenth step is like also for action. The bill is debated and the amendment may be added. If majority votes in favor of the bill, it is turned to the House. The 11th process is like conference committee. If the House rejects any of the changes, the bill goes to a conference committee of members from both houses. So it works out of compromise. So the 12th process, like vote on a compromise. So both houses must approve changes made by the conference. So committees, if they approve, the bill goes to the president. And then the 15th step is like presidential action. The president may sign or approve the bill, or maybe a vote, or we can say a vote. This is a technical term, which means also reject this bill. If approved, it becomes so a law. So the 14th step, or the last step, is like vote to override. So if the president votes the bill, it can still become the law if the 2/3 of the both houses vote to override the veto. And then after this, so the law of the judicial branch is like to judge whether that confirmed law is really connected or has some connection with the US Constitution. So thank you so much to be with me in this sharing. Thank you.